I'm on a journey to get the platinum on all 3 Bioshock games, and today we're going to be starting with... And with a total of 54 trophies to get the platinum, we start our story off on survival difficulty since all the difficulty related trophies can be stacked. So we will get a total of 4 different trophies, 2 of which will be that we can't die and respawn throughout the whole game. Which I'm sure I won't die because, I'm a pro gamer, obviously. We start our story in 1960 in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, where we see our main character Jack is on a plane. While on the plane, we see that he pulls out a package, which we don't get to see what's inside of it because the screen begins to fade to black. As the screen fades to black, we begin to hear screams and the plane beginning to crash. As the plane crashes, we get our title screen, Bioshock. After the crash, we begin seeing parts of the plane fall down to the bottom of the ocean. We begin swimming up so that we don't drown. As we get to the top, we see all the destruction that the plane caused. But luckily for us, we crash right next to a lighthouse, so we begin swimming over there. Once we get inside the lighthouse, we go into this bathysphere and pull this lever, which introduces us to Andrew Ryan, which he talks about the man and how all of the work that he doesn't belong to him. It belongs to like Washington and stuff like that. Eventually, though, we get introduced to Rapture, and even 2026, this cutscene and seeing Rapture is still breathtaking. It looks so good even in today's age. After that, we hear some chat on the radio that someone is coming to get us since they see a bathysphere on their way. As we enter the city of Rapture, we see that the person that was actually coming to get us get killed by a spider splicer. After she kills him, she begins screaming at us and jumps on top of the bathysphere and attacks it, trying to get in to kill us. But luckily for us, she's not able to get in and she just leaves us be. We get kindly asked to pick up this radio that's next to us, and once we pick it up, we get introduced to our next character, Atlas, where he tells us that his main goal is to keep us alive and guide us through Rapture so that we don't die. As we exit the bathysphere, we see that the spider splicer actually reappears, but she gets caught by this camera and a turret begins chasing her, driving her away. After that, we grab this wrench, and once we grab it, we break this barricade and we go up these stairs where we try to dodge this chair, but we actually miss and we take some damage. But after that, we fight our first enemy, and once we take out that enemy, we head up these stairs where we hear this weird jingle and we see this sign that says plasmid. We get our first plasmid and we inject it inside ourselves, but we can't handle it because our genetic code is getting rewritten. After that, we actually fall over this balcony and we get knocked out. As we gain a bit of our conscience back, we see 2 splicers in front of us, where one of them is talking about how we got our cherry popped, which okay bro, you're weird for saying that. He also wants to gather Adam off of us, but unluckily for them, they hear a big daddy coming their way, so they begin running away. And once they run away, we actually see the big daddy and also a little sister. The little sister wants to gather Adam off of us too because she thinks we're an angel, but luckily for us, she sees that we're still alive and she leaves us be, which I will definitely remember for the future. As we wake up, we see we have lightning powers, which we can use to shock this door open. Once we go through the door, we see a part of the plane that we were just on crash through the tunnel, which begins flooding it. So we go through that part of the plane, and once we do, we start finding another enemy, which we can use this combo where we shotgun and then attack him, which does some nice damage to the enemy. After we take out that enemy, there's another enemy that's on fire, which we take out, and after we take him out, Atlas tells us that he has a family that's in Neptune's bounty and wants our help to get him out of this city. Once we get out of the elevator, we see this woman talking to a crate, but don't worry, there's no baby in there. It's just a revolver, which is our first weapon. After that, we see some enemies in the water, which we shock, and we get our first trophy, Toaster in the Tub, for shocking an enemy in the water. As the splicers that we just shocked die, we head over to their lifeless corpse, where we get our first audio diary, and we need to get a total of 122 audio diaries in order to get the trophy, Historian. As we go throughout the mission, we see this little sister that's all alone, gathering Adam. Atlas tells us that that's not a little girl anymore and that's some type of monster now. As we head down the stairs, we see a splicer that attacks the little sister, but unlucky for him, the big daddy was nearby and begins piecing him up and slamming his head on the glass, which inevitably kills him. We're gonna have to fight these guys eventually, so be ready for that in the future. After seeing that splicer get pieced up by that big daddy, we start heading towards Neptune's bounty. But the gate closes on us and we get ambushed by some enemies. Atlas tells us that it was Andrew Ryan that did all of this and he shut off access to Neptune's bounty. But luckily there's another way to get there, is by heading towards medical. So we start heading towards medical, but as we get there, the door closes on us and we get trapped in this little room right here. But luckily Atlas is able to try to override it while we're here. While he's overriding it though, Andrew Ryan pops up and begins talking to us, wondering who we are. While he's talking to us, some splicers come up to us and starts attacking the window, but before they can get in, we head to medical. After we make it to medical, we get our next trophy, complete welcome, for completing the level Welcome to Rapture. As we're walking through medical, we grab this audio diary that's right here. Our main goal is to make it to emergency access, but the security bot is blocking our way, so we had to hack it. This is the hacking minigame. It's very simple. You just have to connect one end to the other by using these pipes and create a flow to where that arrow is. And once we do that, we get our next trophy, hack a security bot, for successfully hacking a security bot. And also we get one successful hack for performing at least one successful hack. After we get those 2 trophies, we head over here to this vending machine where we start hacking it. And once we hack it, we get our next trophy, hack a vending machine. After we get those trophies, we try to open the door to emergency access, but we see we get access denied. Atlas tells us that the only way to access it is by getting a key from Dr. Steinman, which is a crazy doctor that works on females changing their appearance. So we have to go into medical by flipping the switch. And once we go into medical, we see this turret right here that we can shock. And then once we shock it, we begin hacking it. And once we finish the hack, we get our next trophy, hack a turret, for successfully hacking a turret. Then we start chasing an enemy where we can see that we have a security camera here, so we shock it and we begin hacking it. After we finish the hack, we get our next trophy, hacking security camera, for successfully hacking a security camera. After that trophy, we get our next plasma incinerate, which we can use to burn these enemies. We can also use this plasma to melt through ice that is blocking our paths from entering certain rooms. After we enter this room, we see a combination, which I put 0451, which is 9 times out of 10 the combination for the first lock in the game. So if you have a first lock, make sure to put that code in. But after we get the supplies in that room, we see a safe on the wall that we can hack. And once we hack it successfully, we get our next trophy, hack a safe, for successfully hacking a safe. With some exploring, we finally find Dr. Steinman, but he throws a grenade, blowing up the sign and blocking our path from getting to him. Atlas tells us that the only way to get to him is finding a plasmid called telekinesis, so we can grab a grenade that the splicer throw at us and throw it back at the sign and blow it up. We begin looking for the plasmid, and the arrow tells us to go this way, so we melt the ice. While exploring, we find a tonic. These tonics help boost our stats in the 3 different tracks that they coordinate to, and we have to collect a total of 58 of these to get our next trophy, tonic collector. After we grab that tonic, we get our next weapon, the shotgun, and we'll be doing this strategy where we shoot, switch to our plasmid, and then switch back to our weapon, which basically cancels the reload, and you'll see me do this in this clip here. You could do this with many of the weapons in the game, and it just helps increase your DPS and do more damage to the enemies. After taking out those enemies, we become James Wood from Family Guys and start following this trail of bandages that leads us to this chair. Once we get to the chair, we see our screen crosses over and then a corpse appears. We head over to this desk where we see a diary and also a tonic. But once we grab those 2 things, we see that our screen crosses over again. And once we can see again, we turn around. This guy tries to prank us, but just gets a shotgun to the face. After that failed prank from that guy, we finally get the telekinesis plasmid. But since we don't have another slot, we actually have to change one of the plasmids we have now. Once we do that, we head back where the sign is and grab this grenade and throw it at the sign to blow it up to get to Dr. Steinman. Once we get to Dr. Steinman, we see that he's talking about all the patients he had and how they're either too fat, too tall, or too symmetrical. And then he sees us and he says we're ugly. We're like, come on, bro. I know I'm Bonita. You don't need to lie to me. But then he shoots the glass and we start fighting him using the shotgun technique. And after we do that, we use our telekinesis plasma where we throw this propane tank at him. And once we do that, he just kind of lays there and doesn't fight back anymore. He hits the...
Hey, this man just, I don't want to do this no more.
After shooting him a couple more times, he eventually dies and we're able to grab his key. And we're also able to grab our next trophy, defeat Dr. Steinman. We start heading to emergency access where we see a Big Daddy that just died. Atlas tells us that it's our chance to get some Adam, but when we go over there we see a Slicer trying to get the Adam for himself, but he gets shot and killed by this lady named Tannenbaum, and she wants us to stay away or we'll get shot next. After some dialogue, we start heading to the little sister, and she tells us that there is another way and hands us this plasmid. She wants us to free them from the torment, and if we do, she'll make it worth our while if we do free them. We make our way to the little sister where we now have a choice of either rescuing them or harvesting them, and obviously I harvest them because fuck them kids. I'm just kidding, guys. I obviously saved the little sister. I'm not that evil. Plus, we need to save every little sister so we can get the trophy Little Sister Savior. But after saving that little sister, we get some Adam that we can use in this shop here, which we can get a health upgrade. After that, we start heading to emergency access where we see a Big Daddy. Atlas tells us that we're ready to fight one, so we save just in case we do die. As you can see, we're doing some nice damage to the Big Daddy, but unfortunately before we can kill him, he does one-shot us, which makes it our first death of the game. But luckily we saved, so we don't have to replay the whole mission. We can just load up that save. Once we start fighting him again, we can see that this Big Daddy was doing some nice moves on us. He must have been gloating that he killed us that first time, but since he's fighting the turret, we're able to just use our shotgun, shoot him a couple of times in the back until eventually we kill him, and we're able to rescue the little sister and get some more Adam from her. After saving the little sister, we're able to use the key that we got from Dr. Steinman to unlock emergency access. Once we unlock it, we're able to use this bathysphere here to get to Neptune's bounty. Once we get to Neptune's bounty, Atlas tells us to go to Fontaine's fishery so that we can meet him. So we make our way there, we knock on the door with our wrench, and the man that opens it is Peach Wilkins. He tells us that Atlas already radioed ahead and told him that we were on the way, but he says the only way to get access is to get him a research camera. After he tells us that, a splicer actually comes and ambushes us, so we have to fight it, but since we're too weak and we do absolutely no damage to him, he sends a couple of drones to us, which helps us, and she begins running away once they target her. Once she runs away, we actually start heading for the research camera. But before we do that, I have to take out this Big Daddy, so I save just in case. And I use the grenade launcher, which I just got from Peach Wilkins. I also use the same technique I used with the shotgun. A couple more shots with the shotgun, and I'm able to take out the Big Daddy first try. After I take out that Big Daddy, I'm able to save the little sister, which we see Tannenbaum appear on our screen, telling us since we saved so many of her little sisters, she'll be sending us a gift to show her appreciation. Once we see that, we get 200 Adam and also a new plasmid. With that 200 Adam, we're able to buy a health upgrade and also a plasmid slot, which gets us our next trophy, bought 1 slot, for purchasing 1 slot in any plasmid or tonic track. After that, we finally make our way to the room where the research camera is at. We get the best weapon in the game. Now you might be wondering to yourself, how can a research camera be the best weapon in the game? I'll be showing you here momentarily, but before that, I take a picture of this splicer right here, which gets us 2 trophies, which is quality research photo for taking a research photo of the highest grade, and the next one being research a splicer for taking at least 1 photo of a splicer. After we get those 2 trophies, you see that we actually get increased damage to spider splicers, which is why the research camera is such a good weapon, because we get increased damage to every enemy that we research. Now the best strategy for the camera is just spam taking pictures of the enemies that you're fighting until eventually it doesn't let you take any more pictures because the score is too low, which you can see me doing here. After I take those photos, I get another picture of a spider splicer, which I need to take a total of 3 for Wilkins. After that, I get my next trophy, fully researched gun splicer, for fully researching the leadhead splicer. And then I take another picture of a spider splicer, which means I gain access to the Fontaine fishery, so I start heading back there. But before I do that, I had this weird glitch where I had 2 Big Daddies here, and they both had little sisters, even though I only had to save 1 more in this level, which was weird. I just had them both fight it out until eventually one of them died. And once one of them died, I just began fighting the one that had the lowest health and taking him out. After I take out the Big Daddy, I'm able to save the little sisters. There was only 1 little sister to save. It was just a really weird glitch. But eventually we make our way to the fishery, but Peach Wilkins doesn't want us to have weapons in his home, so we have to put our weapons in that little bin right there. But we have our wrench and we still have our plasmids equipped, which is nice. We see this camera right here, which we freeze so we can begin hacking it. After we finish the hack, we actually get our next trophy, Skilled Hacker, for successfully completing 50 hacks. After that, Peach Wilkins basically tells us that he doesn't trust us because he thinks we're working for a man named Mr. Fontaine. So he actually starts attacking us, but we take him out easily with a propane tank that we throw at him with our telekinesis plasmid. But before we kill him, we actually take a couple of pictures of him so that we can increase our research. But after that, we use our wrench to take him out. And after we take him out, we get our next trophy, Defeat Peach Wilkins. Once we defeat Peach Wilkins, we see a Power to the People, which we need to find all of these so that we can get our next trophy, Weapon Specialist. For this first one, I choose to upgrade my shotgun's damage. Once I do that, I get my next trophy, Upgraded Weapon, for acquiring at least 1 upgraded weapon. Once I upgrade my weapon, I find the secret entrance to Smuggler Hideout, and Atlas tells us that his family's in there, so we go over there to meet him and also help his family. We pull this lever so we can let him into this room since his family is in that atmosphere right there. But we see that some spider splicers start to ambush him, and since there's so many spider splicers, he has to fall back, but he tells us to go over there to help his family. So we make our way to the bathysphere, but before we can make it, we see the submarine and it explodes. He tells us to get out and to start going to Arcadia, so we make our way to where the door is, and once we get to the door, we finally get to Arcadia. Once we get to Arcadia, Atlas tells us to go to the bathysphere and Rolling Hills, so that we can get to Andrew Ryan and take him out to get revenge for his family. But before we do that, we go to this U event where we create some exploding shells, and when we do, we get our next trophy, Basic Inventor, for inventing at least 1 item. After that, we make our way to Rolling Hills to take the bathysphere, but we see the door closes on us and a green mist starts appearing, which is actually taking out all the trees in Arcadia, and with no trees, we get no oxygen since we're at the bottom of the ocean. Atlas tells us there's a woman named Langford that can probably help us saving the trees, so we head over to our office, and once we get to our office, she tells us that we need a Rosa Galaga, Before we do that, we take a couple more pictures and we get our next trophy, fully researched Thug Splicers. And after that, we get our next trophy for fully researching the Houdini Splicers. After getting those trophies, we make our way to where the Rose of Galadors are. We grab one of the roses and we head back to Lang Ford's office, where she tells us to put it in this tube right next to us. Once we do that, we go into her office so that we can meet her, but we see that she's talking to Andrew Ryan, which since she violated the contract, he starts filling the room with gas, which begins to kill her. As the room fills up with gas, with her final breath, she's able to write a code on the wall, which is 9457, and with that code, we're able to unlock the safe behind us. And once we unlock the safe, we see that we get another diary, which basically tells us how to make the Lazarus formula and the ingredients we need. She tells us that the 3 ingredients that we need is chloroform, distilled water, and also enzyme, which is basically honey spit. And she tells us the place to get these 3 ingredients is a place called the Farmer's Market, so we start making our way over there. But before we do that, I decided to take out this Big Daddy. Since I have this turret right here, I also have a bunch of grenade launcher ammo and a bunch of health. This should be easy, right? Yeah, so I ended up dying, and that makes it our second death of the run. And since I didn't save before fighting him, that means I have to replay the mission all over again. But after doing everything again, I went to the Big Daddy to get my revenge, and I take him out. After I take him out, I head to the farmer's market to start getting all of the ingredients. Once in the farmer's market, the first ingredient I'm going for is the enzyme sample. So I pull that lever so it can release the gas and put the bees to sleep so they don't attack me when I raid their home. I raid their home until I eventually get 7 of the enzyme samples. After that, I head to a winery so that I can find distilled water. I need to find a total of 7 of these so that I can build a vector. While searching for the distilled water, we see we have a cool little Pac-Man Easter egg here. After I get the 7 to distilled water, I'm able to build a vector since I got the chloroform earlier from all the Houdini Splicers I defeated in Arcadia. But before heading back to Langford's office to craft the vector, I upgrade another weapon, which gets me my next trophy, 1 fully upgraded weapon. I head back to Langford's office and I start taking pictures of this Rosie Big Daddy, which gets me my next trophy, fully researched Rosie. After that, I finally head back into her office and I build the vector. And once I build the vector, I'm able to put it in this machine right here, but it'll take some time before I can deploy it. And while that's happening, Ryan is actually sending some of his forces towards us to stop it, so we have to defend against that and take them out. So we start taking them out with our shotgun and all our other equipment. And once we take out the final enemy, we're able to head back into the office where we're able to deploy it by using the switch. And once we deploy it, we see that a blue mist starts appearing, which begins restoring life to Arcadia. And once we restore life, we get our next trophy, Restore the Forest, for restoring the forest of Arcadia. Once we restored Arcadia, we're finally able to take the bathysphere and Rolling Hills so that we can go to Andrew Ryan and take him out. But we see the bathysphere starts to go down into the water and a bunch of statues of people and also a rabbit mass appears. The man that did this is Sander Cohen. He's a crazy artist that kills people and uses their body as art. He wants to see if we're worthy enough to meet him, so he sends a bunch of spider splicers our way. While we're fighting the spider splicers, we take a couple of pictures of them so we can get our next trophy, fully researched spider splicers. Once we take them all out, he says that we are worthy enough to meet him, and he tells us to come to the Fleet House so that we can meet him. But before we do that, we have to do the best part of the game, and that is gambling. And the reason we're gambling is so that we can get our next trophy, Lucky Winner, for hitting the jackpot. So
let's go gambling! Aw, dang it! 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 Aw.
After losing all my money and not hitting the jackpot, I start searching safes so I can find more money. While looking for more money, I find another Power to the People, and when I upgrade my next weapon, I get my next trophy, 2 fully upgraded weapons. Finally, I get more money and I'm able to gamble more. After a couple more spins, I finally hit the jackpot by hitting all the $3 signs. And once I do that, I get a nice $250 bonus, and I also get my next trophy, Lucky Winner, for hitting the jackpot on the slot machine. Once we get that trophy, we head to the Fleet Hall so we can meet Sander Cohen. We see that he's forcing someone to play the piano and he is not liking the way he's playing it. And the man on the piano, Fitzpatrick, gets mad at him and tells him to let him out, so he blows him up. And I mean, that's one way to get him off that piano. But after that, he tells us to go on stage to take a picture of his dead body, which we do here. After we take that picture, he tells us to go back to the auditorium and use that photograph into his masterpiece. So we head back there and we see his masterpiece, which is a bunch of dead corpses and also them holding picture slots. We need to put them in one of the slots, and after we do that, we see some smoke and confetti, which we get a reward for doing that. And our reward is a crossbow, and that is the best weapon in the game because it one-shots anybody if you hit them in the head, even on survival difficulty. After that, he tells us that he has 3 different disciples, and he wants us to take them out and take a picture of their body and put them into that masterpiece. So we begin looking for the 3 disciples. We find one of them, but he freezes us. But eventually we're able to thaw ourselves out, and once we thaw ourselves out, we take him out and take a picture of his dead body. Once we do that, we head back to the auditorium where we see this Big Daddy. We take a picture of him, and when we do that, we get our next trophy, prolific photographer. We're taking 1 photo in every research group. After that, we head back to the masterpiece so we can put the picture of the disciple in there. After that, we find another one of his disciples, so we begin taking him out. We shoot him in the head, which takes him out, and we take a picture of his dead body. But before we head back to the auditorium, we find his last disciple, and we begin taking him out. After we take him out, we take another picture of his dead body, and we start heading back to the auditorium to put them all into the masterpiece. Once we make our way back to the auditorium, we put one of the pictures into the masterpiece, and after that, we see that Senator Cohen comes onto our radio, and he thinks that we don't like his masterpiece and that we're judging him, so he gets mad at us and he sends a bunch of splicers our way while playing Beethoven. And while the music is playing and I try to synchronize my attacks with the music, I just want to take this time and say I hope you guys are enjoying this video. And if you are, please consider liking and subscribing so that you can see the other 2 Bioshock games that I plan on doing. And if there's any other games that you want to see me play and also platinum, then please let me know down in the comments below. But eventually we take out all the splicers that he sends at us, and when the last one defeated, we see that Senator Cohen appears on our radio apologizing for his outburst. After that, we head back to the masterpiece so that we can put the last photo on there, and we get our next trophy, complete Cohen's masterpiece, for completing Senator Cohen's great masterpiece. Once we complete Senator Cohen's masterpiece, he comes down to admire it. He also gives us a tonic as a reward, which gives us more health when we use our first aid kit. And since we helped him with his masterpiece, he opens the bathysphere that we tried earlier so that we could go to Hephaestus and confront Andrew Ryan. Once we make it to Hephaestus, we see that Atlas comes onto our radio, kindly asking us to go to Ryan's office and kill him. So we make our way to Andrew Ryan's office, but we see that his office is locked, and the only way to get into it is by overloading the core. So we have to find a way to do that. But while looking for that method, we find another power to the people, and we upgrade another weapon, which gets us our next trophy, 3 fully upgraded weapons, for having 3 fully upgraded weapons. And when we buy another slot for our combat tonic, we get our next trophy, max 1 track, for purchasing every slot in one of the plasma or tonic tracks. After that, we begin exploring, looking for a way to overload the core where we see a Big Daddy. We take a picture of him, and that gets us our next trophy, fully researched bouncer. After that, we find an audio diary and also a tonic. The audio diary basically says that there is a workshop here that has a way to overload the core, so we have to find that workshop. And once we find the workshop, we get another audio diary that basically says that we have an EMP bomb here, and we just need to get 3 ingredients to finish building it. He tells us that one of the ingredients is a nitroglyphic, which we got earlier from exploring. The other 2 ingredients are R34s, which we get from the Big Daddies, and our gel. After we get those 2 ingredients, we finally build the EMP bomb, and once we build the EMP bomb, we go to the core. But before we can get to the core, we have to release this magnum so that it can evaporate all the water that is down there. So we keep turning this wheel until eventually all those lights turn green, and once that happens, we see the magnum start to flow into the water, which evaporates it all. Once that happens, we take this elevator, which leads us to the core, and once we're at the core, we place the EMP bomb there, which overloads the core, which means we're able to go back to Andrew Ryan's office and pull this lever, which opens this door right here, and that means we're able to go to Andrew Ryan's office and confront him and kill him. We finally make it to Andrew Ryan's office where we see the man himself. He begins talking to us about our family and also the airplane that we were on. He says that we didn't have a family and that we were actually born down here. And also the airplane that we were on didn't crash, it was hijacked by us. After his monologue, he finally lets us in. And once he lets us in, he uses a very familiar phrase, and he kindly asks us to stop. And he also says how "would you kindly" is such a powerful phrase, and also a very familiar phrase. And once he says that, we start to get flashbacks of when Atlas was saying "would you kindly," which means yes, we were getting mind controlled this entire time by Atlas, telling us to do all this stuff like kill Andrew Ryan. And I still think this is the biggest plot twist ever in gaming history. After that though, he eventually tells us to kill him, which we do kill him with his own golf club, and we hit him in the head. And once we kill him, we get Atlas on the radio again, which he tells us to kindly grab his genetic key and also to put it in a goddamn machine. Once we grab that genetic key, we get our next trophy, defeat Andrew Ryan, for defeating Andrew Ryan. Once we defeated Andrew Ryan, we put the genetic key into this machine, and once we do that, Atlas tells us that there was basically no Atlas ever, and it's actually Frank Fontaine, which is a name we've seen this entire game, and we've been wondering who that is. He tries to kill us, but thankfully these little sisters are able to help us escape, but while escaping, we fall down into this hole, which knocks us out. Once we wake up, we see that we're in Tannenbaum's safe house. She begins talking to us, saying while we were asleep, she was able to remove some of Fontaine's control, which means he won't be able to say "would you kindly" anymore to make us do things, but he can still pull some very unpleasant strings, which we will see here in a bit. But after that, she tells us that there is a way to remove the mind control completely, and we just need to go to Mercury Suites to find a flat under the name of Suchong. So we begin heading over to Mercury Suites, where we see that Frank Fontaine appears on our radio. He begins talking to us, kindly asking us to go get stepped on by a Big Daddy. But since Tannenbaum was able to remove some of that mind control, he gets mad at us and also Tannenbaum. But he does says that he has other tunes that we will dance to. So he says the word code yellow, and once he does that, our heart stops, which actually lowers our health, which is annoying. So we need to find a way to remove his control fast, because he'll keep lowering our health throughout this whole mission. While going to Mercury Suites, we take a couple of pictures, which gets us our next trophy, fully researched Nitro Splicer, and we also get another trophy for fully researching the little sister. After that, we finally make it to Mercury Suites, where we see a power to the people, and when we upgrade another weapon, we get our next trophy, 4 fully upgraded weapons. After that, we go into an apartment, which is Sandra Cohen's. We take out these 2 people that were dancing, and once we do that, we see that Sandra Cohen comes onto our radio telling us that he's going to come down there and take us out, but we're able to take him out with ease with just 1 headshot. After we go into his room, we get another trophy, Find Cohen's Room, for finding Sandra Cohen's personal quarters, and when we take a picture of his dead body, we get another trophy, which is Irony, for taking a picture of Sandra Cohen's dead corpse. Once we make it to Suchong's flat, we find an audio diary by him. He says that there is a plasmid called Lot 192 that can completely remove the mind control effects, but when we go to look for it, we see that Fontaine's thugs already raided the place and took the plasmid to his penthouse, which is locked by a code. But luckily we find this audio diary that tells us the code, so we just go down and put in that code, which is 5744. And once we put in that code, we're able to take this elevator up to his penthouse. And the only thing that is standing in our way are a couple of tripwires, so we just have to use this book to trigger it. And while I was doing that, this happened. Brother. What the fuck do you mean I just died there? Yep, I ended up dying there, which makes it our 3rd death of the run. And you could tell in that clip I was very annoyed. And since I didn't save the game, that means I had to replay the whole mission again. But while we're replaying the mission, I do get another trophy, which is Research PhD for maxing out all possible research. I finally make it back to Fontaine's penthouse, where I have a more reliable way of getting these tripwires off. Once I set off the tripwires, I grab Lot 192 and also this plasmid, which gets me my next trophy, Tonic Collector, for collecting 58 different tonics. Once we grab Lot 192, we see the dose isn't strong enough, so we get some side effects, that being that our plasmids are now unstable and we can't choose which ones we equip. Tannenbaum tells us that we need to find a second dose, which is in Artemis Suite in Suchong's lab, so we head over to Artemis Suite so we can find that second dose. Once we make it to Suchong's lab, we find the second dose, and once we do that, we finally break Fontaine's mind control, and we also get rid of that side effect, and we also get another trophy, which is Break Fontaine's mind control, for breaking Fontaine's mind control. After breaking that mind control, we find another power to the people, and once we use that and upgrade another weapon, we get our next trophy, 5 fully upgraded weapons. Once we break the mind control effects, we see that Frank Fontaine appears on our radio. He gets mad at us for breaking the spell, but he tells us to come to Point Prometheus so that we can fight this out like men. So we take the bathysphere to Point Prometheus, where we see he's been juicing himself up with a bunch of Adam. After he finishes talking, he begins running away because he's scared of us, even though he won't admit it. Tannenbaum tells us to go chase him, but before we can reach him, he shoots the panel and closes the door behind him, which means we can't reach him. But Tannenbaum tells us there is another way, we just have to find a Big Daddy. Once we find that Big Daddy, we grab the suit control system. Our goal is to actually become a Big Daddy so the little sisters will trust us and open the door. And the way to do that, we need to sound like one, smell like one, and also look like one. The first thing we're going to do is look like a Big Daddy, so we grab this helmet, which means we get this ugly view for pretty much the rest of the game, so I'm sorry for that. But after we grab that helmet, our next thing we grab is a bodysuit. Once we grab that bodysuit, we actually get 25% resistance to all damage, which is nice. When we go to look for the boots, we see that they're not here, and it's only an audio diary. The audio diary basically tells us that the boots aren't here because they shipped it to the wrong place, and they shipped it to the library. So we have to make our way to the library where we see the boots here. And once we grab the boots, we look like a Big Daddy now. So our next step is to sound like a Big Daddy, so we use this machine to sound like a Big Daddy. Once we do that, we see a power to the people, which is our last power to the people, and once we upgrade that weapon, we get weapon specialist for upgrading all the weapons. After upgrading all our weapons, we fight this last Big Daddy, since it's the last little sister we have to deal with. Once we defeat the Big Daddy and loot him, we rescue the little sister, and once we rescue the little sister, we get our next trophy dealt with every little sister for either harvesting or rescuing every possible little sister. And now that we sound and look like a Big Daddy, our last thing is to smell like one. So we grab these little perfumes around the map. And once we grab the third one, we get our next trophy, Become a Big Daddy. Once we become a Big Daddy, we're able to use our wrench and hit this vent, which gives us a little sister that we have to protect and also escort throughout the map so that she can unlock the doors that Frank Fontaine has been locking. Once she unlocks this door and we go through it, we're able to go through this other door, which gets us to the proving ground. Once we're here, we have to actually protect her while she gathers Adam, because even though she's been rescued, she still has her little sister's instincts. So we have to do this 3 times, and after the 3rd time, we're able to grab her little needle. And after we do that, we're able to go through the elevator and go up it so we can face Fontaine. Once we make it up to Fontaine, we see that he's been juicing himself up with even more Adam. So we have to use the needle that we just got to drain all the Adam that he has. We have to do that 4 times, that being the first one. After that, we begin fighting him, and he has 3 different phases. First one being in fire, but these are very easy. We just have to shoot him with our crossbow a couple of times until eventually all his health is gone. And once his health is gone, we're able to go back to that chair and drain his Adam. His next one is ice, and after that is lightning. And after we defeat his lightning phase, we are able to go up there and drain his Adam for the last time. And once that happens, it actually starts the final cutscene. And once we defeat him, we get our next trophy, Defeated Atlas. After getting that trophy, we see the little sisters that we saved start to jump Fontaine with the needle and stab him all over his body until eventually he dies. Our screen fades to black, and when it fades back, we get a cutscene, and we also get a few trophies. That first trophy being Little Sister Savior, for saving every little sister without harvesting any. And our next one is Seriously Good at This, for completing the game on hard difficulty. And our next one is A Man's Choice, for completing the game on survival difficulty. And our next one is Brass Balls, for completing the game on hard difficulty without using a vat chamber. And our last one, I Choose the Impossible, for completing the game on survival difficulty without using a vat chamber. And now, I'm just gonna let this cutscene play out because this cutscene is absolute cinema.
You saved them. You gave them the one thing that was stolen from them. A chance. A chance to learn. To find love. To live. And in the end, what was your reward? You never said. But I think I know. A family.
That final cutscene is absolute cinema, and it will always be absolute cinema to me no matter how much I watch it. But after finishing the game, we have a total of 4 trophies that we missed through our first playthrough, so we just have to load our save before we fought Fontaine. And our first trophy being Ammo Inventor, for inventing every possible ammo. After we get that trophy, our next one is Avid Inventor, for inventing at least 100 items. The next trophy I'm going for is Historian. I missed a total of 4 audio diaries out of the 122, which is pretty good from doing that all from memory. And I'll be showing you the 4 that I missed and where I got them. And after getting Historian, we only have 1 more trophy to go until we get the Platinum, that being max all tracks. I didn't have enough Adam to max them all out on my first playthrough, so I had to do a new game plus until eventually I got to Arcadia. And once I got to Arcadia, I loot that bear and I grab this last tonic slot, which is engineering. And once I do that, I get my next trophy, max all tracks, for maxing out all 4 plasma and tonic tracks. And after that, I get the Platinum trophy for Bioshock. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did enjoy it and are excited to see the other 2 Bioshock games I'll be doing, please consider liking and subscribing. Also check out the last video I did where I got the Platinum for Call of Duty Ghosts. But besides that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.